from a defabricated garden shed in Rockland County, New York, USA. This is Stand Up with Pete Dominic. On today's episode, how to save time and money when you're an American fleeing the country in terror. And now, the podcast host who's got a solar-powered shed studio ready to disappear on a moment's notice, Pete Dominic!
Hello and welcome to today's episode of Stand Up. You are going to love it because it's time for the ladies from the Hue. H-U-E, that's the name of our show that we've decided. This segment, this episode is with Vikki Robinson, Karen Madison, Kimberly Richardson, and Frances Walton, everybody. Four amazing, brilliant, thoughtful, original, hilarious, witty, kind, charming, also black women, joining me to talk about all kinds of issues as they relate to the intersection between gender and race, current events, the divisive nature of fireworks displays, and so much more. I think you're going to love it. And you should follow them all on Twitter. All of their Twitter handles are in the show notes. If you want to learn more about them, you can meet these ladies at our next hangout where they often all join us. Most of them join us. Maybe we should have a special one just with them. But you have to join and be a subscriber to hang out with the ladies from the Hue, at least virtually. And in real life, go to standupwithpete.com, standupwithpete.com, and sign up now. Okay, let's do it. An awesome conversation, as it always is. You guys love it when they join me, or I should say, when I join them. The Ladies of the Hue begins right now. Oh, yes, we are back with the Ladies of the Hue. It's Karen and Frances, Vikki and Kimberly, and we are very happy to have all of you listening. Ladies, thank you for joining me. Let's be honest. We got it together. 5 o'clock on a Friday, headed into the 4th of July. Karen, how are we even available? Thank you for doing this.
How can I not be available for my people? Easy as that. I'll just be late to the party.
Now, does anybody have any big plans for 4th of July, Independence Day weekend? Does everybody have Monday off? Vikki?
I'm going to be on a cruise ship.
No, you're not. Are you really?
I most definitely am going to be on a cruise ship to the Bahamas.
No way. When and for how long?
We leave Sunday and we come back Thursday.
So you just getting COVID wasn't enough. You wanted neurovirus.
I got the immunity, buddy. I got immunity right now. You do have like a period, like about 30 days. Stop it. I'm not liking the faces.
I'm just saying.
But what is that virus called? That's the one that jacks up your gut, though.
Yeah.
Monkeypox?
No, not that one. That's the
neurovirus.
The neurovirus.
Yeah.
And those cruise ships,
it's just shat coming down the walls.
Yeah, that's where the shit hits the deck of the boat, and then when the boat's wavy, the poop goes up and down. Right. Yeah.
Okay, so let's back up. Let's try this again. Ask a question, Pete. What are you doing this weekend? Ask me.
Vikki, are you planning on doing anything this weekend, like cruise or anything?
No, not a damn thing.
Kimberly, do you have Monday off?
Yes.
How will the city run without you?
We have Monday off. The city is running perfectly fine with me sitting in my desk right now. We have a big fireworks display, though, on Monday, so that's exciting.
Well,
I'm not going, but I hear it's supposed to be really exciting.
To some people. We're going to talk about fireworks at the end. We're going to save that because I'm hoping there'll be a big fight and we'll be divided over it, but I'm hoping. But I just want to check in with Frances, of course, first. Do you have any Independence Day long weekend plans?
Playing it by ear. Probably going to float on a river somewhere around here at some point. That's the big plan.
That sounds very exciting. Well, I'm very happy that all of you were able to join me. There's a ton of issues that I want to talk with you about, from January 6th, the Supreme Court, to anything that any of you want to bring up, as well, as always, whatever you're paying attention to. But first of all, ladies, I got a lot of grief. Well, I got a little grief this week because I wasn't covering enough about Roe v. Wade. Of course, I had already taken off on vacation and pre-taped my shows for this week. for last week, so I really couldn't address it more than Eric Siegel on Friday, but I do want to make sure that you all weigh in on that Supreme Court decision and how it affects you directly or indirectly, how it affects you emotionally, spiritually. Why don't we start with you, Frances? How did you feel when, obviously we saw this coming because the opinion had leaked, but about a little over a week ago from when we're taping, this became a real thing. What do you think of it as a whatever age woman you are?
Whatever age would be heading towards 40, a little bit past the mid 30 mark, but I'm trying not to be broken. I'm really trying not to be broken. And what I'm finding is that every day we wake up and you hear the news, you hear the latest thing that they're doing that's just completely changing the forward momentum that we were heading in. And that one was just so backbreaking that they decided to overturn Roe. And I've been listening to all these different talking heads about it and everything. I'm trying to figure out if there's some way for us to come back out of this. But at this point, I'm almost speechless. And I just know that it's touched so many people. I mean, those that are close to me, they've gone through these situations. I know that folks have to do this for medical reasons. Folks have had to do this because of their age, things like that. And it's just completely unbelievable. And I'm just trying not to be broken by it. But then the next day is just another thing.
Yeah, everybody's got to find some kind of a emotional solution, because how can you not be broken? It's a good way of putting it. Karen?
I'm horrified. I can't believe this is the state of our world right now. I mean, I have less rights than my grandmother did. You know what I mean? Like, how is that possible? I feel like, I'm at this point in my life that I'm doing okay. Like, I'm happy. I feel like I've even overcome some of the childhood trauma, or at least, like there's a lot of growth. And I'm at this point of reflection in my life. And then you look back and you're like, my niece, my little cousins, I have friends that are still, of childbearing years, like their whole lives have changed, because in some instances, whether it be health reasons or not, maybe it's not the time to have a baby and you're taking my choice away. Like, that doesn't, Frances said it best, like, I'm broken. Like, how can we just walk around like this is the best place in the world to live when we're no better than a third world dictatorship in some instances? It's terrible.
Kimberly?
Well, I saw this coming 3 years ago, so it wasn't something that I wasn't shocked by. There was a proliferation of suits and lawsuits coming through states that we knew had a particular agenda, and this is what organization looks like. And it has no care for what the majority voice needs or wants. I think it's very, very telling when a congresswoman from Illinois, from down where I'm at currently, made a very interesting statement the other day as her comments when there was a Trump rally not too far from the state capitol in Springfield, Illinois. And she said, thank you, for saving the white life.
Right.
And I know people said that was she misspoke and she wanted to say pro-life, but I tell people, you say the quiet things out loud. And I think this has been a concern of a certain community in our country for decades, that they start seeing that population and they wanted to preserve it, and they need to preserve their majority. So I think that this is much more than about women productive rights. They are coming after all rights that does not benefit themselves.
Here she is. This is the 15 seconds. Sorry.
President Trump, on behalf of all the MAGA patriots in America, I want to thank you for the historic victory for white life in the Supreme Court yesterday.
She's running for, she's currently a congresswoman.
That was crystal clear. That was not a slip.
Was that McConnell or Lindsey Graham that did that same type of slip up when they were talking about real Americans?
That was McConnell.
It was McConnell. So it's in their discourse.
It's from the gut.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and if it's not, I mean, I don't know. I didn't follow up. I don't really care. Like, you would clean that up. You would at least try to clean that up. I don't know that
she didn't.
No.
And got reelected. So that just tells you where. Well, if you knew where this location is, it's not unheard of. So going back to the bigger conversation, I just concerned. It's not. I live in a state, luckily, where reproductive rights is a thing, but I live in a region where reproductive rights it's going to be a little harder.
Yeah.
So I traveled to Chicago just to go to see my doctor because of the religious institutions that run our health system in the southern region of the state.
Vikki, your thoughts on the Supreme Court's announcement on abortion? You've shared with us here on the podcast your own personal journey. What would you say about it? How personally do you look at this?
I'm very saddened by it. I'm not surprised. I knew when the Supreme Court picks were made and when they made the perfunctory statements about it being standing, that these laws already had standing and that they had no idea about changing them. I already knew that they were the ones who were picked and that they were picked for a specific purpose. And I think that where we are in this country is that there has to be a reckoning with white nationalism. And people are so afraid to call a thing, but it's a real thing. And that ever since that study came out about how the populations were starting to diminish and that we're going to be a majority minority by, I think it was 2034.
Yeah.
It has been a steady drumbeat. There has been an increased pressure to change these laws and to make sure that a certain segment of society is protected. Because trust me, they don't give a damn about Black lives. They don't care about Black babies. They don't care if Black babies eat. They don't care if they get medical coverage. They don't care anything about that. This is a preservation of what they see as a way of life.
Yeah, you mentioned that study, and I just heard some right-wing guy using that, from 20 years ago. I could find that audio where he basically referenced that white people are going to become the minority, and you're so right about that. There's so much proof that when people learn that, it animates them, the whites. I'm talking about the whites. So I guess Kimberly mentioned race first, Frances, Karen. How much do you think this affects Black women differently? We've learned a lot about from experts here, and you already knew it from your life and from your own research and I'm sure conversations, that Black women are disproportionately have access and care. Even wealthy, educated Black women don't get the same type of care as uneducated white women. We've talked all about that. I've read so many of those stories anecdotally, but of course there's hard stats on that. So how do you think this affects, I guess obviously it affects Black women, disproportionately Black families, but take me inside like the real life of Black women and Black families as a result of this decision. Karen.
I mean, it's going to be a further burden. I mean, think about the burden of having another child without having the services behind it, and not even just the services for people who may need it, but I mean, all the things you just said, our healthcare is inadequate. I mean, we've all talked about it, even on one of our episodes, the crap care that we get. If you're going to not make abortions readily available, think about the areas that don't have good school systems, good childcare, affordable healthcare. We're railroading people into poverty. We're going to see suicide attempts are actually probably really, like, the suicide numbers actually increase. Like, it's just a death spiral. I know I'm not being super eloquent right now, but there's so many things in my head that are detrimental to especially the Black community and Black women that I don't know how we can recover from this. And
let me be super eloquent. We're tired. We're by reading the a statistic in the U.S. The CDC reported that Black women experience maternal mortality 2 to 3 times higher than that of white women. And in case people don't know what that means, because I learned what that meant like a few years ago, women dying in childbirth. The estimated national maternal mortality rate in the United States is about 17 per 100,000 live births, but it's about 43 per 100,000 live births for Black women in the richest country in the world. Frances, how do you interpret what it means, the abortion issue, the new laws, differently for Black women, Black families?
This is such a big topic because it's already been fucked up for Black women. Pardon my language. It's already been like that. So to add this to the equation is scraping away at something that the house is already falling down as it is. So this is just something else that's just adding to that collapse of the Black plight, the Black female plight. And I'm trying to figure out what the long game is, because so you're trying to potentially build up white lives in America while also knowing that you're contributing to more deaths of adult Black women, as well as potentially bringing more Black children into this culture to then be subjugated to situations where they can't, succeed and things like that because they don't have the resources necessary to succeed in this culture. So, but then what's the other long game for the white families too, because they have a terrible situation that they might be born into as well. And so I'm trying to figure, and then where's money going to go as far as Planned Parenthood? Are they going to take that and put that into the military industrial complex? This is where the money should go, because now we're having more Black babies potentially. And with Black babies comes, the ability for us to put them back into the prison system, not put it into education by no means. So, I mean, it's just so much. And
right. Isn't it really confusing? And then think
about
the
long game.
And we make less money per, 69 cents per $1 of a white man. So and then if we're, the burden of single mothers with the prison complex, like, that's why I can't be eloquent with this, because there's so many things tied into this.
Yeah, no, but it's fine. You're being eloquent. You're asking all these questions that are important. We don't know the answers to them, but I think you're revealing the questions, which is really interesting for me and others to hear. Kimberly, you already kind of touched on this, but same topic still. I mean, it obviously has a disproportionate effect, and we could also talk about some of the other Supreme Court decisions that are going to have a disproportionate effect to Black folks. Well, all of them. If a thing is a bad thing for most people, it's going to be even worse for Black folks. It's going to be even worse for Black women, generally speaking. I think it's fair to say. So, any of the other decisions or anything else you'd add to this part of our conversation about Roe v. Wade being overturned?
You know what? To all of my allied white progressive friends, stop with the one purity test. There's not going to be an elected official that's going to make you feel all good inside and are going to be 100% on the right page, because this is how we got here, y'all. Us women of color, us Black women, told y'all, hold your nose, do what you got to do, but you need to vote. So we can sit here and talk about how this is going to impact Black women, but guess what? Government, society has been impacting Black women our entire lives. And we figure out a way to overcome and survive and figure it out. And it's not because, of government, is not because of our neighbors. It's because of our tenacity, as well as our heritage of strong power, will. And so it's not us that's the problem, but we the one that has to deal with the crap.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm tired of hearing folks talk about how, Biden is not doing this. Biden's not doing that. The Democrats ain't doing this. That's privilege. That is privilege. You get to have a privilege that I don't have. And so think about that next time people want to sit here and nitpick about a candidate because they don't say the right words. That's a privilege. And this is what happens when privileges are taken away from you. Now you're beginning to see what we've been talking about for years and decades.
So well said. Yeah. What a really important point to make about what we've become. I mean, whether it was Hillary Clinton or Joe Biden, there's plenty to be disgusted by, to be disappointed by. But if you didn't come out and vote for them, especially with Hillary Clinton, I mean, I guess you could say the same for both of them. I mean, it's just that Trump appointed 3 of the cartoon villains now on the court.
Can you follow me on this? I was just thinking about this morning. So do we think Ruth Bader Ginsburg, she didn't retire when she had the opportunity for years upon years? Is it possible that she tried to hold on so that the first female president could then nominate the next successor of hers?
If she did, that was wrong.
It was so wrong. And this is why another reason why we are where we are today. But it's like trying to thread this through. And I was going back to her death and just how fucked up it was. Again, I'm dropping the F-bomb, but the timing of it was the worst thing that could have happened. Yeah. And she had plenty of time to just have somebody come in and step into her shoes. And instead she waited. She held out. Dropped the ball right at the end.
I am not going to put on her. I mean, let's just be honest. How many of if you saw that picture of her when she died and they show all the folks that clerked for her, it was not a very diverse pool of clerks. I mean, they're all women. They're mostly women. But it's not even about because here's the thing: if we're holding our hopes on an old white lady,
but she's part of it, though, right?
But she's a part of it. But here's the thing. She's part of it, but she's also, we knew when Scalia died a year before a year. Remember, he died a year.
She had been sick for like 20 years.
She'd been sick for 20 years. Scalia died. At that point, you would think at that point it was too late.
A lot of people don't give her
discussing this. Like there's so many parts of it, right? And if we're going to break it down. No, is she the biggest offender? No, but everything you are saying, right? Kimberly is right. Frances, I think, makes a valid point. Like it's all a part of this, and we Democrats don't rally around the bigger picture. We are, like you said, I don't like Hillary. I don't care if I don't like her, but we wouldn't have been in this situation that we're in today. I don't care what you do. No. Whatever malfeasance, whatever horrible things you're doing is not gonna.
She won the popular vote.
She won the popular vote, but all this other
her job.
Yeah, she did it. But I know people in my family. I didn't vote. I didn't like her. Who cares?
Mm-hmm. Because people saw in their hands because they all thought, well, there's no way Trump is going to win. There's no way. And guess what? Yep. He did. And so I would just say that you just propose, right? So Scalia died a year before the presidential election. Ginsburg dies 2 weeks before the presidential election. I'm just saying.
Are you saying that Ginsburg killed Scalia?
Yes.
What I thought.
With her bare hand.
That's what I heard.
She's a badass.
Well, speaking of...
Anyway, I'm done talking about her.
Speaking of the Supreme Court, though, I did want to ask you, if you paid any attention and if you did, how it made you feel to see the first black woman be appointed, confirmed on the Supreme Court. That happened this week. The Supreme Court ended its reign of terror over June, which the month of June, I don't know if you guys knew this, lasted 5 years as a result of these Supreme Court decisions. But so Ketanji Brown Jackson, I guess this is how it works, gets confirmed on the last day or after the last day, and the court goes into recess until whatever, in the fall. But so I want to know how you feel about seeing her take that oath. And I'll just lead into it with a tweet from our friend Ellie Mistal, who writes, "Congratulations to Ketanji Brown Jackson. I look forward to reading your dissents aloud to my cell block mates while sitting in the DeSantis jail powered by Chick-fil-A while doing my 10-year stretch for wrongthink." I mean, he kind of captures the bittersweetness of this woman being appointed, being confirmed, taking the oath, breaking that barrier, that glass ceiling, and yet she's on this radical court. Anybody want to jump in on?
I think it was such a beautiful moment, such an achievement for this overqualified woman to finally get her just due. But I just felt so bad that couldn't be the focus, because so much crap is going on in the world right now. So much that the Supreme Court threw so much poop up against the wall this week that it just ended up being like, and oh yeah, this happened. Yeah. And that just made me sad for her, because it was such an historic moment, and not to be able to let that just be the focus of this historic moment that this woman had finally achieved.
Well said. Anybody else want to weigh in on symbolism, the feeling, the dichotomy of the moment?
I think Vikki summed it up really well. And I couldn't pull over. I was driving, so I listened to it. But in my moment of solidarity, when I got on my team conference call at work this morning, I wore my black women. What is it? Black women deserve to sit on the court. So I wore my t-shirt. It made me proud. She made me proud, not me wearing the t-shirt, but that was my support.
Love it.
President Biden picked her because he wanted the Supreme Court to represent what it looks like in America, right? And then the comedy behind this is that it represents it. I mean, you have the numbers there. You have the representation as far as the gender and the age and everything. Well, not really. But yeah, as far as having a black woman that's on there, she's in here and not able to do things, which is reflective of actual America. Yeah. We're participants. We live here. But as far as actually being able to influence things or have power, it's like there's institutions that are put in place to stop that. And that's what it looks like is happening with her having this role. And you look at this thing where it's saying when she was getting sworn in, she's supposed to do equal right to the poor and rich, and that she'll faithfully and impartially discharge and perform all the duties incumbent upon her according to the Constitution. But when you're hearing these words that she's saying that she's supposed to do, knowing what they just did this month, it's disgusting to me. I mean, it's great to see her say this, and I really believe that she's stepping into this role to do these things. But when the people that are actually in this position of power are not caring about equal rights to rich and poor, it's mind blowing. It's really depressing, but it's great. It's a great moment, but it's also really depressing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well said. What else do we want to definitely talk about that's serious before we...
the Supreme Court and the prayer thing.
Yeah. I mean, there are two decisions that the Supreme Court made that affect idea that we thought we had, which is a separation of church and state. And that's funding going to religious schools, as well as being able to take a knee on a football field if you're a white. Like, so many people drawing the connection between this Supreme Court decision about this football coach who would take a knee and say a prayer on the field after the game, to Colin Kaepernick, who took a knee as a sign of protest for a different reason. And one, the Supreme Court's like, more taking the knees at games, and then in the other culture is we don't want to see that. We don't want to see that. But what are your thoughts on it? You brought it up, Karen. Not the same.
Yeah,
well, besides
because
that.
it's, I mean, the coach was about praying, and let that be a Muslim coach.
Yeah, let
it be a Muslim coach. You're not
having
having
I'm waiting for.
Yeah, they would
stop him. They would stop him the moment he picks up his rug to walk out to the. Yeah.
I want Coach Muhammad to get out there in that middle field on that 50-yard line, lay that rug down.
Because Muslim prayer is a lot more animated, and like you see it, like you can't hide that. They get down on their knees, they're doing the hands up, and like that'll really irk the whites for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's to stop the Wiccan?
It's a good question. It's a good point. Where does this leave the Wiccan? Kimberly, will you want to take that? You're a witch.
Not that kind.
Which kind are you again? I forget. You're one. You ride a paint roller.
So I would just say that this is going to be some interesting times we're going to be living in. Is progress is going to be regress. And we look at other countries with our nose turned up. Better stop doing that, y'all.
Yeah,
Glass houses.
Yeah.
And it's what it is. I mean, I live in God's country, so I understand that's a thing. I never worked in an organization where I had to pledge allegiance to a flag. Here they do. And I just sit there, stand very quietly with my head down, and I don't pledge. I don't pledge to things, adamant objects. And I'm not going to make a pledge to a country that does not actually believe in what it's supposed to have been founded for. But that's, again, it was founded for exactly what we're doing, which is to make white men rich. I'm just
have
over
to do
it.
that.
I'm sorry. I don't mean to sound like Debbie Downer today. It's just, I'm so over all this. I haven't watched any news. I haven't watched anything about what happened on Insurrection Day. I haven't cared. I just haven't had the energy to celebrate or to acknowledge, because I recognize we have our young people who I had a chance to talk to today, and they feel unheard. They feel marginalized. They feel like, why? What's the purpose? I sat in a room full of mostly Black faces of kids, and they just seem so like just disconnected. And and I'm sitting here all day, and that image is just like, how can I make them know, like, your voices are so important, and we do hear you, and this system sucks, and the system don't want to move for anyone, and we have to work collectively. So all that's great, but at the end of the day, you know, it's some holiday this weekend we're supposed to be celebrating, but I'll be at home, so I ain't trying that.
You're planning on reading the Declaration of Independence aloud with some friends this weekend, Kimberly?
You know, I used to watch every year Ken Burns' The Civil War.
You did that as a tradition?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah, that was a thing. Don't look at me, Karen, like that.
No, it wasn't you, because I was about to really just show you my ignorance and be like, so it's not about you. I'm feeling bad about myself. I'm like, I don't know what she's talking about.
The Declaration of Independence or Ken Burns' Civil War documentary?
Both.
I can't believe you guys don't have any real hard routine Independence Day rituals. Before we get to that, first of all,
cocktails.
Who else?
Cocktails and hot dogs. Like, what else is there?
Frankfurters. Who else would like to hear a podcast or just a recording of Kimberly interviewing these young people? Because I think there's a show right there, because you said their voices aren't heard. I just got back from this tribal youth conference and put a microphone on a whole bunch of them. And it was very empowering to them. Just, I was like, I'll play this if you want me to, and we're done talking to you, feel comfortable with it. And they kind of lit up that their struggle, their ideas, their journey, their triumphs could be heard. So I always think that putting them on a platform is a good idea. So maybe you can do that. I'll help. But do you guys? I've been hearing all this talk about how people are feeling differently about the American flag. Did you ever look at the American flag and feel good, pride, happiness, patriotism, anything like that? Did you ever fly an American flag? Vikki, why are you wearing an American flag?
I am wearing an American flag because I didn't do laundry this morning. That was all I had, so I just threw it on.
It's your reservist clothes. 2 weekends a year. Just bring it out.
What are your thoughts on have your thoughts, has your view of the American flag changed in the past 5 to 10 years? That's the question to any of you.
And so I think it was Michael Che had a joke about the American flag that 1 or 2 is okay. And if you see more than that, it's the same way white people feel about a bunch of Black people. Like it's okay to have a couple of them around. But if you've got like hundreds, you're nervous or you're uncomfortable. I never understood patriotism.
Yeah.
As it were, as a thing of like being proud of where you came from.
Right.
I don't know. I mean, it's the United States is great when it's great, and it's not when it's not, and it's never one thing. So feeling like a flag represents any, I don't know. I just don't get patriotism. How about that? I don't get it.
I never really got it either. Only from the simple standpoint. I was like, I didn't choose to be born here. I didn't do anything. I don't know.
I don't know if this is the greatest country in the world to live in, because there's tons of people who don't live here.
Well, you could only know if you went to other countries, and most Americans haven't. So it's a weird thing.
I know, but people who live in other countries may feel the same way about where they're from. So I mean, I just don't think that it's a contest of where's the greatest place to live. I think it's dumb because of wherever it is you land in the spectrum of where you live. Are you fed? Are you comfortable? Are you able to do the things that you want to do? Then where you live in Cuba is fine.
Who do you root for when you're watching the Olympics?
The brown people.
You son. So you're saying, and everybody seems to be agreeing, that if you saw a white American competitor against a Black any country competitor, you would root for the Black.
Pretty much.
It's both. I mean, but think about the way the Olympics are, though. Like, they suck you in with the stories. So they give you that big story of someone who walks across the Atlantic Ocean to train every day, and you feel compelled and connected to them. Yeah. Like, it's a big marketing ploy.
Kimberly?
So can I just say, I was just doing some Googling, and the Pledge of Allegiance was written in 1892 by a socialist minister, Frances Bellin. It was originally published in the Youth's Companion on September 8th, 1892. Bellin had hoped that the pledge would be used by citizens in any country. In its original form, it read, "I pledge allegiance to my flag and the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all." In 1923, the words, "the flag of the United States of America," were added. And at this time, it read, "I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands." So I just want us to, recognize that this is I'm trying my best.
It's BS. It's BS. Say it, Kim.
Well, a pledge.
I'll say it for you. It's BS.
And then in 1945, under God was added.
We take things for which they were not intended,
right?
Fit it to our narrative and our story,
right?
We took something that wasn't what it is now, and you want what does it prove to say I'm a patriot? Like, you know what I mean?
It's symbols.
The flag, yeah.
Like our culture.
I'm not a traitor. I'm not trying to undercut the government or anything. I know.
Like a traitor.
Today it's the hair.
Now.
But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not plotting against anything. I'm just living my life. I'm a good citizen. You get all my taxes as evidenced by my smaller paycheck that y'all stole half of it. But you know what I mean? Like, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. But now I have to stand up for you, and that proves something to you.
And can I add, in 1954, in response to the communist threat of the times,
you a Wikipedia correspondent?
Yes.
President Eisenhower encouraged Congress to add the words "under God" at the objection of Bellamy's daughter.
The guy who wrote it.
Who wrote it?
Well,
so I say that, right? And so people I don't think we do a great job understanding our history as Americans. People don't know the difference between a Bill of Rights versus the Constitution. They don't understand, anything about how we govern ourselves. But if it's on MSNBC, Fox News, CNN, TikTok, which is a here's the thing. TikTok right now is having a field day getting to learn all about our youth because everybody's on TikTok and the Chinese are enjoying the information that they're getting for free.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack with that. Yeah.
And so I just...
All they're learning is that America's children are obsessed with Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, though. I mean, I don't know how much damage that's going to do.
Yeah.
And also hacks.
And also...
we like to figure out how to do things easier.
We do like a good hack.
How about
that pasta recipe? I promise you was excellent.
TikTok keeps feeding me like people having accidents, like a girl jumping off a roof onto a trampoline and then slamming into the pool. Like, it's horrible. Like, I don't know why they won't stop showing me those things. It might be because I watched them 40 times.
Them.
Yeah.
I get puppies and shirtless men.
Oh, interesting. So it tells you a lot about yourself. So how do we feel? Okay, quickly, there's a new Elvis movie out. Who wants to speak for Black people who are not monolithic, but might be on Elvis? What do you guys think of Elvis? Because I've been learning a little bit about him as a result, and nothing about Elvis was real, and much of what he stole was from Black people, despite what Quincy Jones originally did for him. I mean, do you guys have any opinions on Elvis?
I wanted to talk about before the America and its symbols, and it's the fact that I think our culture is built on symbols, and Elvis would be one of those symbols.
Sure.
All right, Frances, good segue.
Yeah, thank you. People love Elvis, but I don't think they understand why they love Elvis. And this also goes back to what Kim was saying about us not knowing, and it might have been Karen, but we don't know the history. We never learned this information. And something like Elvis and understanding how much that he appropriated from other cultures, Black music, rock and roll, and then he took it and then he became the figurehead of this music, this movement. When he died, he's still something that people see around. Still.
There's a museum. Yeah.
You get married by this dude.
Oh, right.
like it's just a part of this American culture of, I don't know, commercialism and everything, and just loving things that aren't really worth a damn. He's just a guy that stole from others. And then somehow, because of who he is, because he's the white man at that period of time, he became this god.
I think it's the symbolism of it as well. So having somebody who came from being dirt poor to making it that this is like the American dream, and that, you too can get to this pinnacle, but they don't even bring into the conversation the complexities of his drug addiction, how he was so addicted to so many pills. And I do remember reading somewhere that he would take 40 or 50 pills at a time. And that could have been a real jumping off point for the country to start having a conversation about drug addiction when he died in the early 70s, right? 77, 78, somewhere around there. That could have been a foray into even having a conversation about drug addiction. But it's always about this exceptionalism with us in this country and not really taking a good, hard look at what is really happening. This wasn't a dude that you should have been admiring. This guy was so addicted to drugs and lived this raucous life that it's not a life that should have been admired. It if anything, it should get our pity for not being able to be treated or not even be able to be acknowledged.
So well said. You both just kind of referenced what this scholar wrote about in his piece. He's a Tennessee State University professor, Michael Bertrand. He wrote this piece.
Michael Bertrand, yeah, he called me yesterday.
You talked to him?
Yeah, sure.
That's so weird. What a coincidence. But anyway, he wrote apparently to you and in this piece. He wrote, for many, is exactly what Frances was just saying. For many, Elvis was always the king of white trash culture, a working class, white, Southern, rags to riches story that never quite convinced the national establishment of his legitimacy. These overlapping identities capture the provocative fusion of class, race, gender, region, and commerce that Elvis embodied, but perhaps the most contentious aspect of his identity was the singer's relationship to race. As a white artist who profited greatly from the popularization of style associated with African Americans, Elvis Presley, throughout his career, worked under the shadow of suspicion of racial appropriation. Did he tell you that when he called you?
Yes, he did. And I told him I agreed.
She told him.
Get it right, yeah.
Y'all do remember that Michael Jackson married his daughter, though, right?
Oh, right. You all do remember that when he met, his wife, right, was like 13 or something? Wasn't she?
Yeah. She was a young little lady.
She was 14. He was 24. There's a problem.
Okay.
In Tennessee?
Well,
I don't think so.
We could talk a lot about music and cultural appropriation. But all right, let's wrap it up by talking about fireworks. Does anybody here enjoy fireworks at all?
I love fireworks.
Okay. Vikki loves them. Does anybody else like them? Anybody else excited?
Keep ducking, thinking somebody's shooting at me because they've been going off all week. I'm just over it.
Okay.
They said that happened at a pride parade. That people, when they were going off, it turned it into.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Vikki. Folks around here take it to a different level. I mean, every night.
Hold on. It's going to be, let's take it. Let's just be real kind and patient because it's going to be a real 4 against 1, it looks like. And I don't envy Vikki on this.
Okay, well, so can we back up?
Sure.
Ask me again.
No, own it.
He's not going anywhere this weekend.
I'm going to own it. But let me say this.
Roll the tape.
Let me say this. I like the shows. What I enjoy about fireworks are the fireworks shows.
The professional.
I don't like
fireworks display.
I don't like the people in my backyard.
It's yes or no. It's beach or pool or beach or lake.
Lake or ocean.
It's one or the other.
Beach or pool.
The beach or pool.
Karen, there's rivers.
Whatever still body of water where that Loch Ness.
There's other bodies of water.
Unacceptable.
But do you guys like the drones that they've started to fly instead of fireworks?
Oh no, I don't.
The drones are beautiful.
What's that?
No. Yeah, I like the drones. I thought that was cool.
Yeah, that's amazing what they can create with those things.
Add it to the list of things. I have no idea what y'all are talking about today because I don't know what you're talking about. I
first saw them on the night that it was like after the election had been decided and the vice president, President Biden and Kamala Harris came out and they had these drones flying with lights on them, Karen, and they formed like a word or a message or something. And I just remember that because Biden was clearly had no idea. To be fair, I'm not just making an old joke. Like I didn't know that was a thing either. But he was looking at it like surprised.
You're about to make an age joke.
Yeah,
well,
old people would be.
You are.
Well, old people see drones and they don't. They don't know what to think.
They're like, what's that in the sky? Is that a UFO?
They're like, how did they get that kite up there? There's not even any wind.
It's so small.
Y'all were acting like there weren't those like RC cars and stuff for
Is it humming?
the helicopters back in the day.
Oh, that's true.
Like,
but
those were
they're
out
not.
since the 90s.
No, actually, I think a professional fireworks display is one thing. If I can show you a video of what I saw last year outside my window, that was nothing professional, but it was happening all day.
Did it look
night.
like the Tet Offensive?
It was like the sky was lit up all night.
Look at that video.
Scenes, and it's like I can't just sit out on the porch, and it just sounds like
let's ask.
Boom, boom,
But it is the video where the dude failed.
It depends on your neighborhood. It can sound like gunfire.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and animals hate them. Is my understanding, and they're very a lot of pollution as well. But let me just ask the white question. Here's what I know.
I'm not white.
No, I am. I identify as a white, and I'm going to ask the.
But you said the white question. I'm like, I'm not white.
The question is
the right question.
A lot of what I do.
Right, the question. Right?
White life.
White, right?
White lives are often taken by fireworks, and often at gender
and limbs.
And limbs, yeah. So I guess what is the here's what I do. I ask the question that white people want to ask, but they're too afraid to ask. And so you can do whatever you want. You can respond however you see fit. But what is your experience in any Black communities, Black folks, with buying and setting off fireworks? Because I can tell you about the many, many stories of the whites and fireworks. Where they're sold, I think, is an interesting thing. But have you ever bought fireworks yourself? Do you know any Black folks who have bought fireworks? What is the relationship between the Black community and fireworks? And call me any names you want for asking the question, but I ask the tough questions that the other whites are afraid to.
And the second you cross between North Carolina and the South Carolina, you are inundated with fireworks, right. TNT stores, giant monstrosity box.
It's a border thing. That's true of a lot of same when you go from New York to Pennsylvania.
You can get them in DC. They set up it's not even stores. They just build a little.
But if they have to set it up, that's not the sure shot. So, you want the ones that are there. 365.
No. I don't want them at all. But that's what happens here. They set them up so on your way into or out of the city, and on New York Avenue, the main thoroughfare from Baltimore to DC, you can pull over and buy you all these packs. But I assume that if I purchased them, I would leave them in the car, and then something would happen, and there'd be a fireworks display in the back of my company car, and somehow I think I would get fired for that.
So can I just say that I don't think fireworks I don't think it's about a color. It's not about one's national, racial ethnicity. I think it's about economic status. Because I say this, and there's certain types of fireworks that you hear in certain neighborhoods. And that's just true, because I've seen it. Now, I would say that I've lived in predominantly white communities. I've lived in predominantly Black communities, and it is constant. It don't matter. They don't care. They'll go to Indiana. They'll go to whatever that thing down below Illinois. Was it St. Louis? I don't know what state that is. Missouri.
Flyover states, folks. This is why they call them flyover states.
State of St. Louis.
People don't know.
I don't feel bad about not knowing about that movie on the 4th of July.
Check out the link I just...
Wait, guys. I should show you right now the exodus of staff leaving the building. It must be 5:00. No, on Fridays, they leave at 4:58. It is consistent. It's like a whole drove of staff just leaving the building. Anyway, sorry.
That's the government. That's government work, right?
Yeah, that's government building.
Frances just realized that I had changed my name to Herschel Walker on the Zoom link.
Yeah, with a capital A in there too.
Yep, we all needed a title.
I didn't change my title.
We all needed a title, and
Kim showed up.
Kim showed up official,
correct, and so we had to do something.
We had to do something.
Kimberly shows up and says Assistant City Manager Kimberly Richardson, and Vikki.
My whole government name. Thank you, Pete. Edit.
All right, so wait.
Edit.
Do you think
this site is wild?
I just sent a link.
I have to wait till I go home and look at this site. I'm on a government computer.
The site that I sent is, I didn't want to say it, but there's a firework. I know in the names of a few, and there's a fireworks called Black Cat, blackcatfireworks.com. And the top of it, it's proud to be an American, it says. So they're very patriotic. You know what? This is probably like some really anti-American person or fireworks company, but they know this is how you sell fireworks, is to make people think it's patriotic. It's the weirdest thing. I hate fireworks so much.
I mean, those are like heavy duty artillery though, too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So you can sell that to folks that love those big guns. The bigger it is, the bigger gauge, the bigger explosion, the more capsules you have, the better it is. But I know when I was a kid and we came down to not Myrtle Beach, Oh yeah, we did do Myrtle Beach. To Myrtle Beach for our
Humble
vacation.
brag.
Yeah, I know, right? I'm so classy. When you would get into South Carolina at south of the border, you would be inundated with it. And it was so exciting to go to that store and just clean up house. Like, so when I would get home, I had my M80s, M100s. I may or may not have lit one in my hand when I was a kid inside the house.
No.
But I did not clench my hand. I had it and it just blew up in my hand. So I had a nice little mark there for a while. Kids are dumb. But yeah, I love this stuff. I really enjoyed it. My boyfriend used to work for a place in North Dakota, and all you would do is work, I think it was like 2 weeks, and you make $11,000.
Selling fireworks?
Selling fireworks. So there is a business here.
Yeah.
What do I have to sell for $11,000?
Sparklers.
I'm sure those people that are setting up the like little stands.
I'm not
in the DC area.
I like sparklers.
Get a nice.
That's about the extent of it.
Did you ever like chase your, people around with a sparkler or get chased by a sparkler? You used to scare the shit out of me.
I'm sure I was one of them.
I think that's a sociopathic behavior, chasing somebody.
Well, I mean, if you're going to deem me a sociopath for that, I mean, you obviously missed a couple other conversations.
Weekend, I'm going to spend my time not watching Kim Burns' Civil War, but I will be watching TLC Seeking Sister Wives.
Okay.
That's my...
All right. Well,
your Freedom Watch.
One more.
It's actually they have two black couple. Well, one black couple and one some interesting black guy. But anyway, I'm going to spend my weekend doing that instead of worrying about fireworks.
Well, it's hard. You say that like you cannot hear them somehow while you're watching that. Sounds like a horrible show. But let me just ask you.
You speak for yourself.
I usually do. And sometimes I don't. But finally, is there a Independence Day, 4th of July weekend? Or let's just narrow it down, because maybe there is. I don't know. Barbecue item. What is your favorite summer barbecue celebration food thing that you either make or bring or have? And hopefully we can fight. Vikki.
It's the ribs.
All right, we'll come back and we'll do a lightning round. Kimberly, favorite thing?
Rib tips.
Rib tips?
Rib tips.
So she said rib tips.
I think that's an us thing, Kim.
Frances?
Burgers.
Burgers.
Grilled burgers.
Karen?
Ooh. Well, it depends on where you are at potato salad.
No, do you put onion in your potato salad or nutty?
Nah. What?
Good. Just checking. People put onion in it.
I think
Who put onions in it? Vikki, do you put onions in your potato salad?
I do not.
Okay.
I don't. Really? The way you said that seemed kind of like...
Yeah, you know what? For all the love I have for you, you and your food choices can be a little suspect.
Okay,
if I didn't love you, if I wasn't vested in your best interest, came to me with this food list that you rock with, I don't think we could be friends.
Okay, so
you do it. You do. Yeah, you do. You just gave yourself away. You put onions in your potato salad.
Don't put onions in my potato salad, but I do put it in my tuna.
We all put it in your tuna. I mean, we always put it in the tuna.
Everybody doesn't put it in their tuna.
I put celery and onions.
Nope.
Mayonnaise,
Miracle Whip.
Mayonnaise and Miracle Whip are not the same thing.
Relish.
I know. I use Miracle Whip.
Relish.
And I use
don't judge.
Sweet
relish. Yeah.
All I'm doing
is... Have you ever tried the spicy relish?
Or tuna?
What?
Tuna.
Have you tried the spicy relish?
Mm-mm.
So the meat was
gonna have to, though.
ribs and burgers. Where are we finally? Last point. Where are we on the Frankfurter, the hot dog, or even any other phallic shaped?
I like Scott Peterson.
Ever call it a Frankfurter again? I'm gonna punch you in your mouth.
Why do people boil them?
I like Costco dogs, and I like Scott Peterson.
Who?
That's that dude that killed his
He's
wife.
a murderer.
Murderer.
Oh, wait, isn't that the name of
No.
What is it called?
It ain't Scott Peterson.
Nah, that's a murder.
Kim, yeah, that's a prolific
You throw Scott Peterson on one of those rolly things in a gas station.
Actually,
we have ourselves a good
Scott Peterson with an SEN is definitely a hot dog brand.
Okay, is it Peterson with a D?
No, it's Peterson. It's Pete with a ES with a SEN.
Is there a T in there?
Yeah, Peterson.
Kimberly's like, my favorite sausage is the Jeffrey Dahmer brand.
Well, I love me a Polish sausage, though. You can't go wrong with a Polish sausage. Whatever. You know what? Scott Peterson, I just named a brand. I dropped the brand and I said Scott Peterson. And I love me some Costco dogs. You can't go wrong with some Costco dogs.
Oh, wow. Plugs here at the end for Costco.
Sorry.
Yeah,
getting those big checks from Costco and Scott Peterson.
I know. getting them. I'm murdering them hot dogs.
All right, we're ending it right there. We're ending it at your weird murder hot dog.
Murder hot
brand.
dogs, potato salad, ribs and rib tips.
You know what? I have to do that. Reminds me.
Are we snacking on watermelon too?
I love me some watermelon.
Oh, easy.
Ooh. But that goes through you too quickly. But I love me some watermelon.
It does.
Doesn't it?
Diuretic, natural
water.
It's all water.
Water's in the name.
I know. But I love me some
water.
Watermelon
Doesn't do that to me.
Watermelon and some chicken. Oh my goodness. Some fried chicken and some watermelon. That's so good.
Salt on your watermelon?
No.
No.
Yes.
No. But you know what I do?
Mustard.
Balsamic vinaigrette.
I'm so mad at you right now, Frances.
What?
Mustard and the watermelon. I am so angry.
That's
right
what TikTok told me.
That is some TikTok bull.
That's China telling you that. Thank
that
you.
is some TikTok bull. That is disgusting.
Frances, did you do it?
No.
I tried it.
Ask me the last time I had watermelon. I don't even know that.
Tried it?
Balsamic and some goat cheese on your watermelon elevates it with some mint. Delicious.
Oh,
that's a whole different
that's a cocktail.
salad, though. That's
a salad.
Yeah, which is great. That sounds great. But at the cookout,
no, this is a slice of watermelon. Seedless watermelon from the truck.
I need it cubed, and I'm eating it very daintily.
Okay,
that's right.
All right. Well,
I get right in it. I cut it into a triangle, and then I take
We didn't ask you.
First of all, and I can see it.
Such a great consistency.
I can imagine it. And there's some leftovers in your.
Why Pete always trying to come into our conversation about our food? He always want to be a part of the conversation.
I'm here. You guys talked about how you liked watermelon for 6 minutes. I didn't say a word. I finally.
And you could have stayed quiet, but you had to. You have no. You know what? That's meant for you. They don't know how just to be quiet. Just be in the background.
Hey, how's my uterus then? If you want to contribute, talk about some other stuff. You want to make some life choices for me? What are we gonna do if I get pregnant? Pete, I got to ask you first.
Well, it's not mine. I don't care. That's the attitude of every American, apparently, a lot of Americans on the issue. Oh, no, I don't know you. That's not my problem. But by
Does
the way,
this mean vasectomies are going to be illegal?
Hey, that's a good question.
No, they ain't regulating that.
They're not going to regulate a man's anything. Stop it.
No, that's...
Yeah.
Because that's the problem. Is the wayward penises.
Here's the thing: who am I going to risk jail time for if we're having sex? Right?
Can you never?
That's what it comes down to.
Can you never say wayward?
It's not just the regular bullshit.
Wayward.
You said wayward penis. It does not do nearly enough justice.
Wayward schlongs. Better.
No, I said penises. What you call that?
Where are you on Sunny Delight?
That ain't no orange juice. That
stuff is so thick.
That's not orange juice. I used to think Sunday Delight was what you got when you didn't have money.
Syrup and watch you die on the floor from a lack of oxygen to the rest.
Kimberly said she thought Sunny Delight was for rich people.
I would say so.
Is it?
No,
really?
It's quite the opposite.
No, I didn't say rich people. I said Sunny Delight for people who couldn't afford orange juice.
Oh, flippity flop. Okay.
Yeah, got it.
No, I don't like orange juice. So at me.
No, we're not. I would never be at you.
What do we do for bottomless mimosas then?
Hold the orange juice?
Hold the grapefruit juice.
I mean, you got to put like a drop in it just to
drop. That works.
So what's the difference between grapefruit juice and orange juice? There's still
grapefruit juice. Grapefruit juice is a conversation ender. Those of you that enjoy grapefruit juice are violent.
You've been trying to end this conversation for 10 minutes now. You want us to be
No, I'm saying.
What you about to say about grapefruit juice, Pete?
I need to hear it.
Just saying that you're a terrorist.
Yeah, that stuff is wild.
Oh, wow. You guys are monsters.
What is wrong with all of you?
You drink grapefruit juice?
Yeah.
Sure.
I think because it has so much stank on it, it's got to be really good for you.
I have grapefruit. I have actual grapefruits in the refrigerator.
Yeah,
Me too.
And you have to eat it with the weird. Do you have the little spoon that's specific for them?
The spoon with the teeth on it?
I actually made my spoon when my spoon fell in the dish in the garbage disposal.
This is perfect for eating grapefruit.
But let me hopefully sanitize this so I don't die from what's in the
jagged ass.
Don't get me started with my
rubbing it on the sidewalk.
Stop it.
Or wait a minute, put your hand down there.
I can't believe you took a spoon out of your garbage disposal and you were like, Eureka! I can eat this grapefruit now.
No, that wasn't how I took it out and then I started to use it another day and I was like, oh, this is like serrated now. This will work.
Yes. My mouth is bleeding.
I need a transfusion, but I made an invention.
What's with all the blood?
Yeah.
Don't remember me for this one.
Why is my mouth on fire? Oh, maybe that's the grapefruit juice leaking into the cuts in my tongue.
Although grapefruit juice is very powerful. You got to watch it, like if you're taking prescription medication because it's metabolized in the same pathways.
Oh, wow.
So you can actually diminish the effectiveness of some of your
Is there a randomized controlled study on that?
Iron, maybe?
There is. And look at Karen spouting real facts.
It's the P450 pathway.
Oh.
It's the truth.
Oh, that's your job, isn't it, Karen?
It is.
That's right. That's right.
So sometimes if you read like the package insert, that big long piece of paper that no one reads, sometimes it has some valuable information in it and stuff like that.
How would you know what your P4 pathway is?
You don't know. You're not going to find it, but it's the metabolization through your liver.
Got it.
And so sometimes some medications are metabolized in the same place as grapefruit juice. So you have to time it right.
I'll give you a P4 pathway.
Oh, Karen, you are so sexy when you're spouting facts.
Hey, thanks, y'all.
So I'm going to go home, get ready for Moses to come over tomorrow because he's painting the house.
Yeah,
Moses came out of retirement to paint my house, so he's coming over and starting to paint the house tomorrow. So
good for you.
I bet you. What? He came out of retirement to paint your house?
Mm-hmm.
You're acting like he came out of retirement to paint your house.
He did because when I told one of my council members that she asked me I said Moses. She's like, I thought Moses retired. I said he did. He came out of retirement to paint my house.
Kimberly's got it like that.
Kim said, "Know who the hell I am?"
No, I said Moses.
I got Moses here. So
Mr. Moses. I said Mr. Moses.
I know you did.
Mr. Moses.
Jesus is coming over to help me stain my deck tomorrow.
You know what? You wrong for that.
Just saying.
You need to leave that.
Thank you very much.
This conversation is over.
Thank you all, ladies, very much for joining me. Amazing as always. I love you all, and so does everybody else.
Love y'all. Have a good weekend.
Say bye.
Wonderful weekend. Love you guys too.
Stay away from the firecrackers.
The fireworkers.
Firecrackers.
Are you going to say the crackers? But I was going to keep it. You right.
All right. There you go. Karen Madison, Vikki Robinson, Frances Walton, Kimberly Richardson, my friends. Most importantly, that have become almost like family in a way. We talk all the time now offline, and it's just a wonderful dynamic between all of us. I'm just so happy to have them in my life. I will follow those ladies, well, anywhere. And I appreciate you appreciating them, and I know they do as well. So say hi to them. Their Twitter handles are in the show notes. And thank you for listening today. Tomorrow, I've got two amazing guests, Tamar Haspel and Jill Filipovich. I think you're going to love both of those as well. I know you are going to, actually. And I look forward to hearing from you. So send me your ideas, your criticisms, your concepts, guest pitches, all of it. Standupwithpete.com. Standupwithpete@gmail.com, I should say, is my email. That's the website. If you want to sign up, though, you can go over there and sign up and be a member of our community right now. You'll never be alone if you're a member of the stand-up community. So join us Oh, and before we go, I always love listener-created content like the ladies from The Hue. Here is Matty Carlson with a rant about what July 4th means to this one man, this one American man. Matty, take it away. And thanks for sending this.
This year, the 4th of July feels a lot like a funeral more so than it does a birthday party. It feels like we're mourning the death of a really disappointing, abusive, alcoholic parent. A parent who had wonderful ideas and in moments of clarity and sobriety would come to us and say things like, all men are created equal. And you can do anything here. And this is the greatest country on earth. And what if we had a government where we actually regulated and governed ourselves? What if that government was of, by, and for the people? That's a wonderful idea. And we've been an utter and absolute failure at it. From the original codification by the founding fathers that a slave was nothing more than 3/5 of a human being, or that it was completely acceptable for the next 100 years or so for one human being to own another human being. From the Chinese Exclusion Act to the Trail of Tears, colored water fountains, sitting in the back of the bus, internment camps, smallpox blankets, lynchings, the list goes on and on. We have built a system in which women and minorities and people who don't identify as heterosexual have basically, under the best of circumstances, been allowed to live as second-class citizens, and under the worst of circumstances, public enemy number one. And so as I sit and I look back and think about the viewpoint that people are going to have on a day like today, the question that I ask myself is, what will happen when I leave my house today on July 4th? What will happen when I see someone flying a flag? What will be my initial instant gut reaction? Will I be filled with pride? Will I be filled with a sense that I am part of this amazing grand experiment? No. I will look at that flag and I will recoil. I will feel a sense of disgust and embarrassment. I'll realize that I'm living in a republic that is the best option we have, and we have failed it miserably. We have completely and utterly failed this idea. And that idea may have been fucked from the start. But the truth of the matter is that there are probably 40% of Americans out there today who are going to eat their hot dogs and shoot off their fireworks and drink their light beer. And they are going to tell you that this is the greatest country on earth, and they are going to be objectively wrong. But what are you doing? What am I doing to actually make that statement true? And that's what I want to ask you to do on this 4th of July. If you want to have a hamburger, a pulled pork sandwich, you want to go for a swim, you want to shoot off fireworks with your loved ones, go for it. But on the morning of July 5th, are you going to get up and actually fight for the America that we were promised but never got? I'm tired. You're tired. We're all tired. But it's America's birthday, and she's an embarrassment, and we need to fix her. And if we're not willing to do it, someone else will turn America into what they want it to be, which is more of the same. It will be denying rights to people of color, to people of different religions, to people of different viewpoints and different genders. America will be whatever we let her become. So this is where America goes from here. And the question I want to ask you today, in the words of Sean Connery from The Untouchables, what are you prepared to do about it?
Matty Carlson of Michigan, also a member of the band Harborcoat, which just announced that they're going to be going on tour this summer. Very cool. Check out more from Matt and his band and the show links and hang out with him at our Hangouts. He usually is there with us. All right. Well, I'm recording this last part on my phone, so it's time to go. Jon Carroll, sing us out, would you? Thank you.